I think we do the protocols first.
Okay.
Then we,
That's correct. Yes.
yeah, protocols
All right.
first, then I'll say.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I believe we're now live streaming. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to invite you all to the licensing subcommittee. I'm going to start by reading the protocols for the hearing. Please only speak when invited to by the chair. If you wish to speak, please raise your hand and direct all communications via the chair. Please ensure that your mics are muted when you're not speaking. When speaking, please be succinct and do not exceed the allocated timeframes. If referring to any written submissions, please refer to a specific page in the pack. Any new evidence can only be submitted at the discretion of the chair and the agreements with the agreement of all parties. If you're having technical difficulties, please use the chat function to alert the meeting or dial in using the details in the invitation. Please do not use the chat function for putting formal questions to the subcommittee. Any persistent disruptive behaviour will result in removal from the meeting. Once the application has been considered, any remaining parties will be asked to log out of the hearing. Please do promptly so that the councillors will have an opportunity to deliberate and make a decision. Each party will be notified of the decision within 5 working days. However, if you contact licensing the following day, your decision will be given in a skeleton decision format. Could we please elect a chair?
I'd like to nominate Councillor Charlton.
Thank you, Councillor Lufkin. Right, okay, well, let's get started then. I don't believe we have any apologies for absence. Are there any declarations of interest? I have none.
None from me.
Minutes of the meeting held on the 1st of September. Can we agree these is an accurate record, Councillor?
I wasn't at that meeting.
You can approve these minutes because they've been approved by the chair who sat on that meeting. Thank you.
I'm happy to approve them.
Okay, then if that's agreed, then yeah.
Okay. So the hearing procedure, I'll just run through that quickly. First, we'll hear from the acting principal licensing officer, who will outline her report. Then we'll hear from the applicant, Mr. The solicitor, Graham Hopkins. Is that correct, Mr. Hopkins? Yeah. And then we'll hear from the subcommittee. The subcommittee can then ask for any points of clarification. Then we'll hear from the responsible authority, Mr. Riviere. And then again, we can ask for any points of clarity. And then we'll ask other persons. So, Mr. Marone, that's when you will have your opportunity to, make your case. Then we'll, just to clarify, the licensing objectives are the prevention of crime and disorder, public safety, the prevention of public nuisance, and protection of children from harm. So your representation should address those points. We'll then move on to the discussion phase. We'll have 15 minutes to discuss everything that we've heard and, clarify any points that either party or any party has. There'll then be concluding remarks, firstly from the applicant, and then finally by Mr. Marone. So with that, I think we should make a start and hear from our licensing officer. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So the item we are going to consider is for an application for a variation of premises license received under Section 34, the Licensing Act 2003 for the premises Yum Yum Thai Restaurant, 183 to 187 Stock Newington High Street. The application seeking variation to amend the ground floor commencing hours for the live music and recorded music from 11 to midnight Monday to Sunday, and to amend the supply of alcohol hours from 12 to midnight Monday to Sunday, to extend the basement hours for the live music, recorded music, late night refreshment and supply of alcohol from 1:30 a.m. to 3 a.m. on Fridays and Saturdays, to include non-standard condition, which is the Valentine's Day, Christmas Eve, and New Year's Eve until the day following for the basement only. Representation remains from licensing and one other person. We have received additional submission on the disposal policy and noise management plan from the applicant and 2 videos from other person. All these documents have been circulated. Just for the reference, we noticed there is a typo error within the report on page 68 of the full pack. It says the representation withdrawn based on agreed condition. It's supposed to be environmental enforcement, not environmental protection. So we apologize for this typo error, and I have nothing else to add. Thank you, Chair. You're on mute, Chair.
Councillor Lufkin, is there anything that you wish to clarify that has been presented? Me neither at the moment. Right, so if we could now hear from the applicant, thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair. Mr. Chowdhury, the operator, is to the right as you look out at the screen. He's the operator, license holder and DPS. But the variation application, as you know, means that we're not looking at the original license, we're not in a CIA, and the application falls on its own, we decide on its own merits. They've been at this address, the restaurant's been at this address, 183, I think it is, to 187, Stoke Newington High Street, since 2006. Previously at nearby premises for a considerable number of years. Since 1992. 1992, they've been in business, and they currently employ about 32 staff. Just for experience-wise, Mr. Chowdhury has been in the trade, the restaurant trade, for 45 years and held a license under the previous act and this one for 42 years. So he brings that experience, as you'll imagine, to this premises. The restaurant we're sitting in is a high-end Thai restaurant, 250 covers, with service by dining, collections and home delivery. Full menu, and we submit that varied hours that we've asked for the restaurant fall within the conditional licensed hours, which would have been up to midnight under the 64 Act. The basement is the function stroke event area used by customers of the restaurant when they book it for things like birthdays, wedding receptions, Christmas parties, that sort of thing for work. They normally have a meal in the restaurant and then move to the function room. The capacity of that is 80 to 90. The minimum age to book it is 25. They have, as you'll have seen under the acoustic report and management noise management plan, brought in new conditions, a maximum of 10 people outside after 11. That's not for licensable activities, that's only for smoking. They're buying new cords to fence the area off so that people can't wander around the garden, around the front terrace. And the SIA door supervisor, who is on the function room exit door, has been instructed to let them literally out, have their cigarette and straight back inside. So that will reduce any noise issues that may have arisen from people talking too loudly. So that's the way forward for the future. The premises is, I will say, having been here a couple of times, excellent. You could not ask for a nicer restaurant. As you have heard, we've reached agreement with the police and the community safety team, I presume, safety and enforcement. Those conditions to go on the licence if members grant the variation today. I would ask that the police wording is used in preference to anybody else so that we don't get duplication. There is no, and it's an important point, there is no representation from the council's noise team, which indicates to us that there have been no substantiated noise or nuisance complaints, especially recently, which is the important point. I have had discussions, and I'm grateful to Mr. Riviere for talking to me. I understand he has no basic issues with the restaurant extension, and we also discussed up to 2 o'clock for the basement, but we are asking to maintain the request for 3 o'clock. It's vital to the future of this business because the people come here knowing that they can have their meal. So it's not a drinking party, it's to have a meal. Then they go downstairs into the function room to listen to music and enjoy a drink together. So that's the reason we're maintaining the request for 3 o'clock. Only one resident has, to our knowledge, objected. Been no objections from and that resident, we understand, is on the top floor, not directly over the restaurant itself, but none of the other 15 or so people who live here have objected. We did reach out to the objector, but we didn't have any response. As I say, you've seen the acoustic report, noise management plan. The work that's required under the noise management plan has basically been undertaken. And we've submitted the dispersal policy, which I understand Mr. Riviere was basically happy with. We got the residents' videos yesterday, and yes, it's accepted that one was a bit noisy. That's why we brought in the additional measures straight away. No, there's obviously no drinks outside, so it'll literally be out, smoke a cigarette, back inside, and that's the instruction, as I say, that's been given to the door supervisor. I will say that obviously if people live in central London, this is central London, you're on a main road, you do have to expect some noise. There is another place over the road, no names, no addresses, that's got a license, I understand, till 3. That makes noise, and some of that will be heard over here. I'm looking at the front terrace now, and that's where we're talking about. That noise will carry over. There was very little noise from this premises because they've got lobby doors both on the restaurant and on the function room downstairs. So with the door seals that have been installed, that will cut back any sort of airborne noise escape. And ditto, they're taking steps, they're putting the speakers in the basement on foam matting that as per the acoustic report to prevent any breakout of vibration through the building. So that's, I suggest, Chair, that shows that the clients are responsible operators. They've been here that long. They know all the residents. I understand that all the residents do have the management's phone number. So if they have a concern, they can take it up directly with the management. So we would ask that, bearing in mind the steps that my clients have taken, that the variation be granted to give this restaurant a long-term future. Is there anything you'd like to add?
I think, Graham, you've really, put everything together. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. That's our submission to you.
That's fine. That's just more or less bang on 5 minutes. So thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
that. Councillor Lufkin, is there anything you'd like to ask at this stage?
Not at this stage. I'll cover it in the discussion, Chair. Thanks.
Okay. Right. Mr. Riviere, would you like to make your representations, please?
Thank you, Chair. Channing Riviere, Principal Licensing Officer, representing Licensing Authority today. You can see my representation at Appendix B, which is on page 27 of the online report. So it relates mainly to prevention of public nuisance and LP3 core hours. We note that the existing license already goes beyond core hours. In discussions with the agent, Mr. Hopkins, we essentially agree with the amendments to the ground floor. We're happy with the submissions in relation to the dispersal policy and the noise mitigation on the basis of, them carrying out and operating all the works in the noise mitigation plan. We're quite satisfied that the ground floor will be fine. The issue that remains for us is the hours that they're seeking in the basement. And we still believe that 3 a.m., even with the dispersal policy, is still very late for the residents and nearby people to experience. So in our view, we suggested to them 2 a.m., but they still want 3 a.m. So that's really the sticking point for us, Chair, that extension in the basement. The rest of it does seem fine. The ground floor amendments are effectively bringing the license sort of more into alignment with other activities already on the ground floor. So that's not really an issue from our point of view. But if you're going to be dispersing, as Ms. Hopkins mentioned, 80 to 90 people at 3 a.m. possibly, then that is a cause for concern for us. But nothing further to add, Chair, at this stage.
Thank you very much. So, Mr. Marone, would you like to make your representations? You have 5 minutes. Sorry, I didn't mention that earlier, but each party has 5 minutes. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much for the opportunity. From my let's say comments, I've actually already shared that via email. just wanted probably to reinforce my concern. I have been experiencing for the past few years during parties done in the basements, loads of noise coming from either the bass music, so low frequency vibration caused by the low frequencies of the bass music coming up to basically my apartments, up to a point where I cannot simply even lay down in bed because I would hear and feel the music. So this is for me obviously a main concern, because it's I cannot basically sleep at night when parties are within the basements. My second point is about the noise coming from customers at night, of course not during the day, at night, using the garden. So I was looking at the license, and obviously also other pubs and restaurants around. Usually after 11 p.m. people are not allowed to stay outside smoking, drinking and chatting. And still we had many cases where customers from the parties were outside at night at 1 a.m. at 2 a.m. causing, of course, noise and disturbing, let's say, our sleep. So actually nothing more to mention on top of what I've already shared by email. I guess my biggest and main concern is to being able to enjoy my sleep at night. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Morone. Before I open the question, open the meeting for a discussion, I just want to clarify, you sent in some videos. What time of the day were these videos taken?
So one is from last weekend, where actually last Friday I went to sleep at 3:15 a.m. So right after the party stopped, because again the music was so strong I could feel it from my bed. So one of these videos from that weekend, and the other one is from last summer, back probably in July. And it's a video that I've also shared with Mr. Atik, because I was concerned about this noise at nighttime.
And did you get a response from Mr. Atik?
Sure. He responded that he would have taken care of this with his team to make sure that wouldn't happen.
Councillor Lufkin, have you got anything that you want to clarify with Mr. Morone?
No, you just did it. Thanks, Chair.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay then. So I think we should move on now to the discussion phase. We have 15 minutes to discuss the application. Can I suggest that Councillor Lufkin, if you've got any questions that you want to raise, and then I'll come in with anything I think that hasn't been covered. Is that okay?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Thanks for clarifying that before. Yeah, I mean, I've got a number of concerns about this. It seems to be the dispersal that's the problem. Okay, and I've looked at the videos. One of them is really, really loud, and I just can't see that how that is compatible with our policy of not disturbing further late at night, with our licensing policy in that regard. I mean, I take the points that you can, some of the measures that you're proposing will affect with the bass noise that Mr. Morone is experiencing, and that may mitigate that. But fundamentally, you're dispersing into a courtyard right next to his flat at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I just don't see how you can manage that. And I find it very difficult to see how you can manage that. I mean, so my question kind of is to Mr. Riviera, really, to start with, is how could that work, or could it work, or would it be very, very difficult in your view?
Chair, on the actual hours that they're looking for on the days on Friday and Saturday, it's generally a bit more accepted that there may be some noise. But we say up to 2 a.m. on the weekend essentially would probably be where residents kind of draw the line and say, well, even if they have their dispersal to mitigate any nuisance, up to that time, it might be considered somewhat reasonable. But beyond 2 a.m. and going up to 3 a.m., we still think that's too far. So this is why we suggested 2 a.m.
Mr. Riley, you're one of the residents. Mr. Riviere just said that you might consider that acceptable. And what do you think about that? Mr. Roney, can you hear me?
Brown? Or Stefano?
Sorry, that was for me. I'm sorry, I didn't get it.
So yeah,
No.
did you hear what Mr. Riviere said?
Can you please repeat the question?
Okay.
Mr. Riviere's just said that, you know, up till 2 a.m. In his view, or in his services view, would be tolerable for residents, but any later than that he felt was excessive. And Councillor Lufkin is asking what your view on that is.
Well, my view, if people do not make any nuisance, they can be until 2, but that needs to be for sure. I don't know how monitored or certified, because it might happen at any point, any day, that people will cause noise. It's normal, right? People chatting at night when it's quiet, it's going to be very easy to be heard, especially in a courtyard. That will basically, the sound stays within that courtyard. Then I'm not against people enjoying their life whenever they want, as long as it doesn't bother my sleep. That's not my. That's not up to me to say.
Can I just hear from the solicitor or the applicant about what they think about that?
Sorry, I had to switch it back on. I understand, Chair, that I've just spoken to Mr. Chowdhury, that they don't let everybody out at one time. They do it in groups of 10 at the moment. They can also, rather than put them through the courtyard, and I know that it's right, there is a side exit from the building into an alleyway that leads between the high street and the car park at the back. So they could be let out into that rather than under the resident's window, and let out in groups of 10 to get them out promptly. So that, we think, would mitigate a lot of the noise that the gentleman's getting from the front. That seems a sensible solution that experienced operator like Mr. Chowdhury's just come up with. We also think that the gentleman was mentioning the base, that's been identified, as you'll have seen in the noise report, and the matting is
in place.
has been put in place in the last 2 days, so that will be addressed as well.
Okay, then I've got further questions there, because this is new information to me that you can let people out by the side exit. I'd just like to hear from Mr. Riviere and Mr. Morone what they think about that.
Councillor, I think
and also, so one thing, I mean, I'm also slightly skeptical that you can let people out in groups of 10. Basically, you know, how would that work as well? Because I when the place closes, isn't everybody going to leave at once? They're not going to say, okay, well, we've got to go 10 at a time. I just don't get how that would work. And could you address that as well?
So would you like us to answer the first question and then?
Both, yeah. Can you answer both questions? First of all, what do you think about using the side exit? Okay, would that and then so that's a question for both of you, really, for you and Mr. Morone. And the second question is really for you and your expertise, which is letting people out in groups of 10. How's that going to work?
So firstly, Councillor, the side entrance, it offers some mitigation, but it still doesn't really deal with our fundamental concern, which is the time people are leaving to possibly create the nuisance. And as for people leaving in groups of 10, I don't believe there's any real way of controlling that, really. You can ask people to leave in groups of 10, but if someone wants to leave, especially if they're there for an occasion, they're there for a birthday, and then it ends at a particular time, and everyone goes out at a particular time to wait for their respective transport or seek transport to go somewhere else. I'm not sure how you can, I mean, you can ask people to stay inside until their cab arrives, for example, but to disperse people in groups of 10, I don't really think that's feasible. You can ask people to do it, but it's not something that I feel you can reasonably enforce on members of the public.
Thanks for that. And so, Mr. Ryan, you've heard about, you know, are you familiar with the side exit?
Yeah. Actually, my main entrance is on that side exit. But personally, if the smoking area would move on the side exits, I would be happy, because it's not directly impacting my, let's say, bedroom and sleep. So.
Okay, but what about the idea that if the place is open till 3 and everybody leaves by the side exit, that's...
If the music is not heard from in my apartment.
Yeah, the music's a separate issue, I think, because the music can be dealt with by what they're planning on doing, mitigating things with it. The problem that we've got here, and that your video shows, is dispersal, isn't it? You know, or people in the courtyard coming out at very late in the evening, and I find it difficult to understand how that could change with a 3 a.m. license, anything other than make it worse, frankly. But if there's a solution that people can leave by the side entrance, okay. I mean, I'm not really familiar with the building, so I can't say, but does that alleviate some of your concerns? Because it presumably mean they weren't leaving in the courtyard, and how does that work for you?
It would change it, let's say, drastically change, because it won't be impacting my sleep, as the side entrance is on the other side of the house. Basically, I won't be hearing them.
Right, and we could condition that. This is a question to the applicant, is it? This is a question to the applicant. Can we condition that you will all, you know, that after 1 a.m. everybody will leave via the side entrance, or everybody?
Yes, we will, because we, you know, when people book a party downstairs, then there's certain conditions we have. So that's a part of our new condition that we're putting in, and plus the disbursement of people will be controlled by an SIA security to make sure that it's only groups of 10 who go out, and then we wait, and then we send another group of 10 out, so we don't disperse all at the same time.
Okay, thanks. And I just need to hear from Mr. Uriah. If they condition that, leaving by the side entrance, that's an enforceable condition, isn't it? Is that right?
Yes, that's an enforceable condition.
And you think that could work, basically?
It could work. It just opens the possibility of potential other neighbours dealing with the issues of the dispersal. That's the only thing where I'd raise a question mark about.
Okay. Thanks, Chair. I think I've heard quite a lot on that, so I think I know what I think now. But yeah, I might have to come back at the end and just ask them a couple more questions if I think of anything, if that's okay, Chair.
That's fine, Councillor. Thank you. So just in relation to the videos that the objector, Mr. Morone, has sent in, he's informed us, so this is a question for the applicant, he's informed us that these were taken at 3 a.m. You know, one was last Friday and one was, you know, last July, and that he raised these, he raised this with the applicant back in July, you know, when that occurred, and the applicant said he would deal with it. So in what way did you deal with it, given that it, you know, reoccurred? And also at that time, was it not the case that your hours were until 1:30? So, you know, there should have been, you know, at the most, there should have just been people leaving, you know, the last people leaving at say 2 a.m. There should have really have been nobody in the courtyard at that time. So I would just appreciate your response. Firstly, have I summarized that correctly? Is that correct? And, you know, what is your response to that?
The first comment I'd make, Chair, is that the one from last week, I understand, was taken at 1:15, and the one in July, I believe the gentleman said, was taken about 2:15, something like that. I haven't got the email in front of me, but they have had a number of temporary event notices to extend their hours to 3 o'clock. So I believe at the weekend in July that the gentleman has raised, that Mr. Chowdhury had a 10 that particular night. As far as the 1:15 is concerned, of course, the venue's open till 1:30 under the current licence. So there was no breach. We're not conducting license. There was no intention to conduct licensable activities at the front at that time of night. It's purely for smokers. And the policy that Mr. Chowdhury has brought in, I had a chat with them yesterday and with his operations manager when we saw the gentleman's videos. It's accepted that one was a bit noisy. That's why we've moved promptly to do what's in the noise management plan. They brought the new measures in of now putting people out through the side door, asking them to leave through the side door. Sounds better, of course. And in groups of 10, there is an SIA door supervisor, not just a security guard, but a door supervisor on duty, and they will escort the people out of the premises and make sure they don't hang around out the front.
And on the front itself, in the courtyard, we're putting a rope which will actually designate a certain area for the people who are using the lounge, and they won't be using the whole of the lounge. So that way the SI security can actually monitor them much more carefully. And what Graham has said is that he will, propose a group of 10, but we've said that we don't want to let really more than 7 people go out there at the same time to smoke. And they're not taking any drinks out there with them. It's only to smoke. And then they go straight back in. We have to manage that very carefully.
Mm-hmm. I mean, thank you for sending the, I think I understand that. And those measures, I think, would go a long way, towards addressing, the objectors' concerns. We only received the noise mitigation plan this morning, I'm afraid. I just, would you mind summarising, what actually you will, firstly, what you have done up until now, what has been put in place, and then what further measures you will put in place to deal with the noise from the base. It's about the function, isn't it? The function.
Yes. If you want to start, I mean, on the management plan, Chair, as distinct, which is Appendix A at the back of the report from Sound Licensing, it reads, to ensure that the occupiers of neighbouring premises are not disturbed through the management control of noise. All sound and insulation, for example, must be maintained in good condition. Maintenance matters requiring attention will be actioned and noted. Then it goes on to talk about deliveries and waste. That's covered in conditions anyway. Notices will be displayed at the premises exit. Now we're talking about the side door. That will have to go there as well. To respect the needs of local residents to leave quietly, no drinks may be taken outside. That's after 11 o'clock at night. There's a typo on there. The guy that did the report has put midnight, but it's not. It's 11 p.m. Staff will, where appropriate, remind patrons to leave quietly and to leave the area as quickly as possible. As we've already heard, Mr. Chowdhury is using the door supervisor through the side exit now to disperse the staff, the customers, and they'll be monitored after they leave the building to make sure they're not loitering outside where it joins the high street, for example. So that's the notices. The smoking area will be, as Mr. Chowdhury said, to the front. Again, it mentions midnight. The gentleman thought it was midnight. It's not. It's 11 o'clock, 2300 hours. A maximum of, Mr. Chowdhury has now said, 7 smokers will be permitted outside at any time. They can't take drinks out under the conditions anyway. So we literally out, have the cigarette, back inside. They will not be allowed to stand outside and make a noise. We've also got, when regulated entertainment is taking place, the SIA door staff and members of staff will be utilised to control access and egress through the front entrance door. Bear in mind, it's a double lobbied door. There are 2 doors, so we've got the gap in between to prevent noise breakout disturbing the residents.
And the seals have been put in.
And they put new seals on them as well, as per the management plan. Noise complaints shall be recorded and reported. I understand the residents do have Mr. Chowdhury's phone number and can contact him. So we can arrange for those to be put in the incident book, any complaints received and the action taken to resolve it. That goes on to say, should any issues arise, they will invite the neighbours, the people above, to a meeting at the premises to discuss possible resolutions. So that can be used as a positive measure, I would suggest. No amplified or live music will be played other than internally within the base area. They don't play music outside anyway, so I don't think that should arise. And with the matting under the speakers, that should prevent the noise that the gentleman's receiving through the building structure, if you like. Basement doors shall be kept closed when the music is above background noise. No amplified recorded music will be played at the premises other than through their own sound system. No waste or recycling bins to be charged. I presume that means to be used after 10 o'clock at night. And after that time, any waste is kept within the building until after 8 the next morning. Customers are not permitted to take drinks outside. Again, that should read after 11 p.m. So it's 2300 hours. That's the condition on the licence. And the new measure they'll be taking will be music will be lowered 30 minutes before the venue closes, which will give customers time to get used to a lower sound level so they don't speak so loudly when they're leaving. That is another important measure. And I have seen that tested elsewhere, going back to my days as a licensed officer, in a nightclub in the East End, shall we say. So it'll bring their noise levels down, and hopefully they won't be speaking so loudly to each other. They'll be able to unhear each other because the hearing will have returned more to normal. So that's another step they're going to take to reduce the noise. I think that's the essence of most of the points in Mr. Lazari's
Thank you. Thank you very much for summarising that. It's really helpful. Mr. Morone, having heard all this, what do you think now about the measures that the applicants are proposing to take?
Yeah. I also had a look at the reports from the sound surveyor. I guess if those changes will be implemented, there will be some impact, positive impact for me. But I guess until those changes will be actually implemented, I don't know if that will be the case, because last Friday, again, I couldn't sleep. So happy to see those new changes implemented in the sound limitation, let's say.
Okay.
And if people won't be staying in the yard at night, of course, I'm happy because it means I could sleep. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. If you just give me a moment, I just want to check whether all the issues that I've thought about have been addressed. Oh, is the applicant aware of any other complaints from residents, or have you, what resident engagement have you had up until now? I understand you're the freeholder of the residential properties in the, surrounding the courtyard. So I just wondered what engagement you'd had so far, and what was the tone of that engagement?
In terms of, no, we haven't had any other sort of complaints from any of the leaseholders or any of the tenants.
Okay. Councillor Lufkin, you got any? Oh, yeah, Ms. Knowles, you've got a question.
Chair, I don't think that the applicant responded the way that you were expecting. I think that what you need to clarify is what attempts did he make to make local residents aware of the application, and what communications has he had about it?
Yeah, that's a very good point, actually. Thank you. And that was something raised by Mr. Moroney as well, that they only found out by chance about this application. So, you know, as Ms. North says, what efforts did you make to inform residents in the local vicinity that you were making this proposal?
Well, Chair, the legal requirements are, as you know, that they have to display a blue notice at the premises, which they did. And I understand that's where the gentleman saw it. It was also advertised in the local newspaper. Those are the two legal requirements. May change in the future, but that's what we have at the moment. And Mr. Chowdhury complied with those. Was it in the Hackney Gazette?
Yes.
It was. The advert was placed in the Hackney Gazette, so they were compliant on doing that.
Yeah, that's the minimum standard. Okay. And you said there haven't been any other complaints, but has there been? Because you know, you said that one of your measures going forward would be to engage with residents. So I did ask what engagement there had been up until now with residents, and what.
Chair, sorry, go on, you want to answer?
See, they're using the place. But I think the question they asked is, are we, so sorry, what was your question?
It's about your engagement with residents.
Yeah.
You know, we've got Mr. Moroney here, but there's 15 units.
We're in constant conversation with the residents because we operate the management of the freehold by dealing with either the tenants or the leaseholders. It's like last week, we had a problem with flooding in the building. So we're in constant contact with all the residents in the building itself, because we had to switch their water off for a period of 1 hour. And I think Stefano actually got a notice as well. And I make a point of actually contacting the leaseholders or the tenants to make sure that there's good dialogue between the management and themselves, so that we're running the building in the proper way. I mean, we do have issues regarding security of people coming in and breaking in. So those are sort of, there's a constant dialogue, and I actually live in the building myself. So I like to make sure that my own area has peace and quiet and is run properly.
Okay, unless there's anything else that Councillor Lufkin wants to raise, is there?
Just to, I was
We
having a
have
look through the-
overshot 15 minutes, you
Right.
know,
Just-
but I
it won't
think
be-
it's
won't be too long.
important to, yeah.
After we talked about this side entrance and things, I had a look through the pack to see if I could find a plan for the building, and there's not one there. So I just want to be absolutely sure that we all know what. Because I haven't seen it, and I don't know if Councillor Troughton has seen it. I've been to the building either. So but you guys all know it, okay? Is that's going to make a significant difference? Is it, if we condition that everybody has to leave by the side entrance from say 1 a.m. or even before that, maybe midnight? Would that be? That will make a significant difference to the videos that we saw that Mr. Moroney supplied in the courtyard. Do people agree on that? Because I can't see a plan that shows me where it is and how it would work, so I'm having to take it on faith. Do you know what I mean? And could I just hear from each, from the sister, Mr. Riviera and Mr. Moroney on that, please? Thanks.
Do you want us to go first, Chair?
Actually, let Mr. Riviera and Mr. Moroney go, and then you come back at the end, if that's okay. Yeah, thanks.
Yes, that's fine. Thanks.
Councillor, I would say we'd need to be clear about where the side entrance was, and then does it disperse into an area where other residential premises are potentially at risk? If not, then it probably offers a good amount of mitigation towards the dispersal and the nuisance associated with the dispersal. Other than that, I'm not certain again about the times that there'll be dispersal, but nothing further to add on that point.
Mr. Moroney, you know this side entrance, do you, Mr. Moroney?
Yep.
That everybody's that we're talking about, and will that help it from your point of view?
It will. It's in Wilmer Place car park.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah, I can see that on the other plan. Sometimes we get a detailed plan of the premises. We haven't got one of those for these lists. I missed it. We've got a plan of kind of the area, but not that. And that's what we're talking about. Is it into Wilmer Place?
Yeah, that's right. Right.
Fine. And that will then take it out of where. Sorry to go on, but are you okay if dispersal after say midnight happens into that, or do you want it? Is that something that?
I'm definitely happy with that. My other question on that point is: are we also talking about using that space as a smoking area as opposed to the yard, or just as a dispersal area as opposed to the yard?
The issue that we have is we have to have a control over who's coming in and who's going out because they've already been checked. There's a security issue. If you've got them within the gate area, which is a courtyard, then we know who we're dealing with. If we have it on the side, then there's an issue regarding, how we control the people coming in and going out. So what we're suggesting is
sorry to interrupt, but on that point. So you've said 7, okay, as in the smoking area. Could we stop using the smoking area at 1:30?
It's a reasonable compromise.
Or 2?
2, yeah. 2 would be acceptable.
So is that okay? And you, obviously, Mr. Roney, there'll be no drinks outside with the smokers. It's just going to be the smokers. They're going to be controlled by the SIA staff. Okay.
Correct.
I mean, presumably you can get them to keep moderately quiet, can't you? Is that right? With so, but and it shuts at 2. That would seem a reasonable compromise to me. Is that okay? How does that?
Stefano?
Stefano?
In between the option, of course, I would rather go for 1:30. Or if there is a way to keep the noise at minimum, at least.
The SIA staff can try and do that, can't they? Is that right? I mean, if people are shouting and stuff like that, you just say, look, you've got to leave if you continue like that. Yeah. Is that okay?
And no drink as well. So.
And no drinks as well. So they've just got to go out. Yeah, fine. Thanks a lot, Chair. Thanks for that.
Well spotted, Councillor Lufkin. Thank you. Okay. I think if no one else has got any points that they wish to raise now, go into the summing up. Oh, I think Ms. Norton's got something.
Yes, Chair. Before you conclude, I'm hoping that you've gathered all the evidence and information you need to make your decision. I just want to double check that the hours, you have no further changes to the hours that are being asked for, and whether or not the applicant is looking to do any further compromise on those hours, etc. Thank you.
I mean, I suppose it is worth clarifying that at this point. Would the applicant consider, we've heard from Mr. Riviere that, he still believes the hours being applied for are too late. And he would lift his objections if the hours were 2 a.m. Would you agree to that?
No, Chair, the business needs the 3 o'clock in the basement. As I mentioned during my presentation, it's because they're not outsiders, it's customers of the restaurant who use the basement for their function. So it's pre-booked, they have to sign a contract, and that's what we need to make it viable.
Okay. Is that okay, Ms. North?
Yes, that's fine, Chair. As long as you're happy with that and there's nothing further. I note that the 3 a.m. is for Fridays and Saturdays mainly.
Yeah, it is Fridays and Saturdays. Okay, then. So let's move now to summing up. First, we'll hear from Mr. Riviere.
Thank you, Chair. My submission essentially remains the same. I am sort of more swayed by some of the mitigations that have been offered. I would say members have to think carefully about the proposal to disperse people into Wilmer Place. If you have a look at street view of Wilmer Place, there is residential properties within sort of earshot. So it depends how the SIA members of staff can control people dispersing, which would be difficult to prevent any potential nuisance. But yeah, our position on the hours remains the same. Nothing further to add, Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Maroney. Would you-
I have a question, if I can, on the process.
Yeah.
Because of course, new actions have been proposed by the sound surveyor. So we don't know yet what the effect of these actions would be. What if we will see in a few weeks, a month, or after the new actions will be implemented, that the sound will still be strong as of today? What happens?
Well, I'll let Miss North respond to that, but basically the council has a process, but I'll let her explain what that is.
Yes, you'd need to report your noise complaints to the Environmental Protection Department for them to follow up as a separate independent complaint about noise. And also you can notify the licensing authority about the noise complaints, but they won't be investigating them. Only the Environmental Protection team will be investigating the complaint and respond to you as to whether or not it counts as a statutory nuisance or not.
Okay, thank you for answering that. And I guess since sound, it's a very objective thing, it can be measured by some controlling tools to actually verify if noise it's up to a certain level. Does the environmental office offer such type of tests in their?
Yes,
Yeah.
they do. That in order for them to determine if it's a statutory nuisance, they have to do the measurements, and only then can they confirm if it is so significant and harmful to local residents. It could be, I mean, it just depends on whether or not they get called out at the right time and they can witness. The important thing is that they need to witness that noisy nuisance, or for you to record it in some way so that they can see it. But they do need to come out and measure it actually happening as well.
Thank
I
you.
understand there is a noise recording app that they will advise you that you can get on your phone. You know, that you would be able to record any noise and that it could be then used evidentially. So next, if we could hear from the applicants, just a concluding comment.
I mean, I can tell you, the panel chair, that Mr. Chowdhury has actioned all the points that were raised by Mr. Lazari in his noise report. So they're either
In the
done.
last 48 hours.
Yes, within the last 48 hours they've been done. So hopefully that will help Mr. Morano, not hear the noise. Should
Yeah, we'll test it out.
yeah, they're going to test it themselves anyway. But
And we've actioned a sound limiter as well to mitigate any escape of noise, because it'll be controlled through the system.
Yeah. So measures are being taken to address the issue of the any noise from the music. And we've heard, I think, with the measures of getting the people to leave in groups via the side entrance and then making sure they don't loiter in the back, in the car park or in the street, will help to mitigate that.
In groups of 10.
In groups of 10 will help to mitigate that for the gentleman, and also the measures that have been put in place on was suggested on the smoking. So hopefully, and the possibility, if there are any issues, of having that meeting every 3 weeks or so. Yeah. So positive steps there, I would suggest, and we'd ask you to grant variation. Thank you.
Miss North.
Chair, I don't know if it's possible for the applicant to have the Environmental Protection team come out to verify that the noise equipment is operating, or the tests are working and the noise isn't continuing.
Be willing for that?
We're agreeable to that, Chair. Yes, we're agreeable.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sorry, did somebody? Okay, and finally, Suba, have you got anything further to say before we close?
None, Chair.
It's Channing, Chair, that needs to.
Oh, so I'm sorry, I did start with Channing.
Yes, okay, so Suva doesn't need to make a comment. Thank you.
But apologies for that. Okay. Right, so if no one has got anything further, then we'll conclude the meeting. Myself and Councillor Lufkin will take into consideration everything that has been said. We'll be advised by Ms. North, who will make sure that our decision is lawful and reasonable, and you will be notified of our decision hopefully before the end of the week. Thank you very much for your time, everybody. And also, Miss Feeney will also remain with us to record our deliberations. So everyone else is welcome to leave the meeting. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good
Bye-bye.
afternoon.
Thank you.
Bye.
And we can stop the live recording.